I still can't get that gap right.
Hey,
it was close.
That was really
this time.
good.
Yeah,
That was really good.
And then I'll have to work on that. I don't know what the trick is.
I think that was the best yet.
Well, maybe I'll start it at like 2 seconds, and we'll see if it doesn't flash or something. Hey everyone, welcome to Yukon Dark, our Tiny Cthulhu actual play live stream thingy. Technical challenges I have notwithstanding. We're going to get started in just a minute, but just to let everybody know at the outset, Gallant Knight Games is currently partnered with Biohazard Games to run a Kickstarter right now for Blue Planet Recontact. You can check it out on Kickstarter. Just type in Blue Planet Recontact, or go to our website or Twitter or our Facebook page, and you can find the link to it right there. We'd love you to check it out. It's a kind of a hard sci-fi underwater setting, a revisioning of the classic Blue Planet from the 90s and 2000s, all new edition with the original creative team. So, yay! Exciting! All right. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mari to GM us into Unknown Horrors Beyond.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited for episode 3 tonight. Got some fun things planned. But
you say fun, but I'm not sure.
Right. This word fun that you're using.
Okay, well, fun and creepy. Fun for me, creepy for you.
That's right.
Okay.
That's good.
Let's go ahead and start with introductions. So let's have everyone introduce who you are and also your character. And we'll start up at the top right this time. So we'll go with Ryan and then go around clockwise.
Hey everybody, my name is Ryan. I'm a role-playing game writer, designer, and I do board game work on the channel Man vs. Meeple, which is a YouTube channel that you can check out, and we do live streams and things like that. So I super love live streaming. I'm having a lot of fun, and this is my first technically live streamed RPG, but it's been a blast so far. I am playing Blue-Eyed Bailey. He is a financier / con man. If you've been watching the show, you've kind of seen a little bit of what he does. He's a more charismatic character. He feels more comfortable talking his way out of situations as opposed to fighting his way out of situations.
All right. I am Ashley. I play a lot of games, and sometimes I record them and put them for people to listen and or watch. So I am on another actual play that is a tiny D6 one called Memory Alpha. It's set in the Star Trek universe. So that's one of them. My character is going to be Molly McGee, and she is a new money dilettante, and she's all about just making sure she stays alive.
Oh, that's me now, huh?
Your turn.
Right. I'm Alan Bahr. I own and operate Gallant Knight Games. I designed the rules for Tiny Cthulhu, which we're playing, so yay. So any issues are my fault. And, I'm playing Jameson Moore. Unlike Blue-Eyed Bailey, Jameson Moore does not like talking, and he's happy to fight his way out of a situation because punching is easier than words. He's a sled dog musher, and he kind of serves as a messenger between Yukon towns, keeping everybody connected, running errands, etc. So that's what I'm doing.
Cool beans. I'm Gina Ricker. I've been streaming and podcasting for a while now, all over the internets. In real life, I play with games too. I do editing and writing and that sort of thing. And I am playing Katie McGraw, who is a fur trapper by day, mystic by all the time. But she is just she doesn't know what that means yet, really. So you get to discover that along with Katie. She has a familiar, though to her, it's just her friend, Edgar the Raven. So she's got a buddy.
And last time we had a little discussion about how Edgar can talk and understand English.
Yeah.
Which I want to point out, it still hasn't been resolved to my satisfaction. So when we get back,
it was an abbreviated conversation, I'm sure. Yeah.
At least the secret's out now.
Yeah.
Words don't talk.
Yep.
Oh. And I'm Madi Murdoch. I am the GM. I am a tabletop fiction and just, I guess, content writer. And I am super excited for tonight because last time we discovered where that mysterious finger finally came from. So
at least we assume.
Yes, you can assume that. So just to give a quick recap, last time our characters met a geologist who explained that it's actually unlikely that any gold ever came out of the mine. She went down into all of the various tunnels and took some readings of the types of rock that were down there, and she said, I don't think this is a gold mine. Which kind of brings up the question, well, what are they doing then in a mining town that doesn't actually have a gold mine? And then, of course, we also had our characters find out that there was a body out in the middle of nowhere that looks like it fell from a very, very high height, even though there was nothing for him to fall off of. And that body is missing a finger.
Could have fallen off a blimp.
Yeah, could have.
Hot air balloon, something like that.
So we're going to go ahead and pick up from there. So we're just assuming that everyone is just kind of crowded around this body. It's kind of out on the top of a hill. As we described before, it's kind of just like crushed in a bunch of different angles, bones shattered everywhere, missing a finger.
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
Okay. So we have our geologist, Dr. Delilah Whitaker, and she was the one that kind of pointed out the body to everyone. And she says to each of you, do you know this person?
Do we know this person? From like around the mine or anything over the past time we've lived there?
I'm going to say that he looks quite familiar. I don't know that you actually know him exactly, but he does look familiar to you.
Like maybe we've seen him around?
Yeah, I mean, there are quite a few miners. This is a town of about, a couple hundred people, so he's definitely got a
dress.
Face. He's definitely
I was just going to say
the miners, yeah.
Okay.
Well, then yes. He looks like one of the miners, maybe. They all look the same. They all the same. They all come out of the mine covered in coal dust. It's very hard to tell. I don't know everyone in this town, basically, but I can almost assuredly say that I've seen this person before.
And Dr. Delilah says, well, I'm sure they don't come out of the ground wearing coal dust because it's not a coal mine either.
Hey, but it was. I mean, but it was a coal mine.
And she says,
or a gold. I mean, sorry, gold mine. I'm sorry, not coal. Gold mine.
gold,
Gosh,
gold.
That's my head messed up, not Bailey's. It's been a long day over here.
I thought we had determined it was never a gold mine, wasn't that?
Well, so
it was never.
It was, right? Because when there were gold, like there was gold coming into the town. Yeah. At one point, we said, I don't know how long ago.
But we don't know how it got there. We just know there was gold.
When I asked specifically, Katie's been in town maybe longer, and she has seen gold come out of the mine. I mean, she didn't see it excavated or panned, but it came out. I think that's what Maddie told.
Gold, not coal, gold.
Yeah, gold. Did I say coal too?
No, I just needed, for some reason, I just need to clear my head from that idea.
Gold. It was golden.
Yes, Katie was right in that she has seen gold come out of the mine. She has seen gold nuggets circulated amongst the townsfolk. She has seen it end up in the bank. She has seen miners before talk about having gotten gold. And so at some point, gold came into the town, but the new geologist is saying that's not from the mine. There's no way.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, is it possible that it just ran out?
And Dr. Whitaker says, I don't think so. I don't think that there was ever gold excavated out of the rocks that were down.
Crazy. That doesn't even make sense.
So I was in the hotel, and I think that at this point, with the discovery of another dead body, there's probably quite a commotion. So I would have left the hotel and joined up with everybody to see what was going on.
Sure. And as you're kind of crowding around with a bunch of the other people in the town, you're hearing a few whispers, and the whispers are basically saying that some people know who this person is and other people don't.
So some of that kept to themselves mostly? Can
I
we
would
get
like
at
to
least
ask the crowd, like,
Yeah.
somebody's got to know who he is. Does anyone know who he is? Will anybody?
And good old Sal and Duff, they kind of step forward and they say, yeah, that's Luke's.
Well, he worked at the mine?
And Duff says, well, sure, he's been here longer than anybody.
How long has he been missing for?
And Duff and Sal kind of look at each other and they're like, we didn't really even notice that he was missing. And then they
Sounds
kind of
about
look
right.
at each other and realize, like, that's really bizarre. Like, we should have known. Like, yeah, Luke's has been part of the mining,
Yeah.
the tent town forever. Like, he was here long before we even came up here. How weird.
Yeah, somebody probably should have noticed that somebody was missing. That's for sure. I feel bad for the guy. No one even noticed.
Mhm.
And of course, naturally, you get the sheriff. The sheriff is kind of coming up to this giant crowd that's starting to appear around the mouth of the mine. And she's like, oh no, who did it this time?
I mean, we found it this way.
And of course, everyone is clamming up as soon as she shows up. And the sheriff just kind of looks at the body and says, oh. And she can definitely tell that this body fell from a great height. I mean, there's just no getting around it. And she looks up at the sky, and it's getting to kind of early evening by this point, and she's like,
Yeah,
And he's
I mean,
not.
He fell.
He's not near like a large tree or anything. I'm guessing
He's
it's
not
sort
near
of-
a large tree. He's not
Hey,
near the
I'm
cliffside
trying.
at all.
Yeah,
He's just
He's-
kind of on a hill.
he climbed way too high to the tree. Just
Flew too close to the sun.
Sure.
Have any of us noticed anything flying overhead at any point? Have we seen any like zeppelins or anything like that at any point since we've been here flying overhead?
The only
No.
thing you've seen is just maybe some eagles, and the occasional raven, like Edgar, and that's about it.
Well, we did see
all
that
of
one
you
guy.
You did see something in the sky last night.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So to kind of recap for that, right? Like you woke up a couple of you woke up in the middle of the night. You looked out the window. You saw perhaps a shooting star. Something maybe larger came past the window, but you didn't get a good look. And Edgar said, right, it was a flying man.
Right, the talking bird.
right, but yeah, I don't know if we're gonna take a bird's word on it, but maybe we are.
But isn't
I am.
never mind. You know what?
The bird is the word.
Thank you.
I know.
Okay, well we walked right into that one.
So, somebody dropped this body, right?
Mhm.
Bodies just don't fall out of the sky and splat on the ground,
Not unless they were flying.
which is a thing bodies don't do. So,
Ordinarily, I would agree with you. However,
The sheriff kind of shakes
I don't
her
know
head.
what was happening last night.
She says, well, somebody go get the doctor. And
Okay.
Henry,
Yeah.
the deputy, kind of runs off to go get him.
doctor's gonna do so much.
Has it been only one night since the events of Queasy's death, or is this the second night?
It's been one night. So you all slept together in
Okay.
Molly's room.
I couldn't remember if that was the same first night. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's 2 murders in 2 nights. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, Katie's kind of dying to know if he's full of rocks.
And I
I mean,
want to go and look
okay.
and see if he has the holes in his
know.
palms. So, because I'm starting to
Let's-
notice a pattern with
Molly,
people. So
If
we should go
I'm
check
gonna-
the body out.
We should, try to treat him with some respect and
Mhm.
then check out all the stuff while we're,
While you're treating him with
Yes.
respect.
yeah,
Total
being
respect,
super respectful with
absolutely.
the body.
Yes, super respectful. Given my little bit of medical knowledge while we're waiting for the doctor, I think it's only right that we go up and see what we can see.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to have you all roll some type of investigatory roll to see what you can tell from the body.
I got one success.
Also, one success.
Okay. So as you're kind of just looking at this puddle that was a person, you can tell that this person fell, legs snapped and buckled and just kind of folded right underneath the rest of him. His spine is all cracked up. The side of his head is smashed in. And he kind of landed on his side. And so you kind of can see a little bit of just stuff coming out of the bottom half of
Right. You were awesome. My apologies. This is a horror stream.
Hey, it is a Cthulhu show, so we're going to see some blood and guts, I think.
Well, Tiny Cthulhu sounds a little more chibi and adorable than perhaps
it does. It does a little bit.
Cthulhu is really tiny when he comes and kills you in your sleep. Yeah,
it's not super deformed Cthulhu though, so we're not like little cute.
Oh, chibi Cthulhu sounds kind of terrifying to me, anyway.
So, in this puddle of former human, are his palms intact?
As far as you can tell, his hands are fine. He is missing that finger.
Yes.
But as you're kind of looking, you notice that he doesn't have any of the strange marks that you've been noticing some of the townsfolk have.
Okay.
You can also tell that the hand that's missing the finger is actually kind of ripped up just a little bit, as if it's got a couple of bite marks, and it does look like it has some skin underneath the fingernails of the rest of the fingers.
Ew.
Okay.
Okay. I do have a carrion bird as my familiar.
Yes.
Oh, that's true.
I know.
But Edgar is not interested in this body at all.
No, I'm just wondering if Gina doesn't know if birds smell or if how that works. Edgar, can you tell if that's Queasy's work on his hand?
And Edgar says, maybe.
Sorry, buddy. Had to ask.
I mean, I think like the obvious question is, how did this guy's finger ever end up in Queasy's mouth? And then how did this guy end up? No, I can't. None of this makes sense to me. I don't even see the line here.
Cannibals.
I mean, maybe.
Line is real obvious. It's cannibals.
I've thought about that.
Some sort of weird Yeti cannibal cult.
By this time, the doctor, Doc Peterson, has shown up. And again, just in his bizarre little eccentric way, seems a lot more interested and excited about this body than he should be. He says, "Oh, well, somebody took a fall," and he also kind of just like looks up into the sky.
Nothing up there.
And then he kind of grabs a stick and starts poking, trying to like stir the puddle around, trying to make sense of exactly what he saw.
Nice.
It's very, very medically sound.
Again, we established this guy is just a country doctor. He just came out here for fun, right?
That's true.
Kind of everybody in this town is not really
good at their job.
Yeah, or what they seem.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true too.
And he kind of starts lifting a couple of what appear to be just like broken pieces, and he says, "Well, this man died a long time ago."
Said what?
Like how long ago are we talking?
He says, "Well, when did we all find the body here?"
Like an hour ago.
Now? Yeah.
And he says, "Well, this man's been dead for about 3 or 4 days.
So Queasy ate a dead man's finger, or do we think he was alive when Queasy bit his finger off?
The finger was fresh, though.
I think we're fixating on the wrong thing.
I can't get the finger out of my head.
And then the doctor says, "Oh yeah, he is missing a finger. You think he's the man?"
Yes. That's the. Yep.
Hey, who has the finger?
I think you still do.
You still have it.
Oh crap! What?
From your tour, your finger tour.
Yes.
Right. I'm gonna go back to the hotel.
And the doctor says, "Wait, if you got the finger, let's see if it fits."
So
That's
put it
morbid,
up against
Doc.
it. Yeah.
That is super morbid.
I'll hand him the finger.
And he kind of like turns it over, and then he kind of like pokes one of the hands, and then kind of turns it over and says, "Look, the fingers. They're the same, right?" And he kind of like sticks it on.
You're kidding.
The bloody.
These aren't
Yeah.
Legos.
And it's like, see, I can see how this fits on there.
Can I have that back, Doc?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's got an
Science
attached
ain't my
tabby.
strong
Give it
point.
back to you.
Yes. How very Cinderella.
Right, we found the one missing finger.
Yeah. Okay.
He says,
I mean,
still, and he kind of like looks at the finger before handing it back to you, Jameson. He says, that's his finger, all right, but look at this body. It looks like it's been rotting for a while, and that finger looks brand new. Brand new, chopped off yesterday.
And dead.
Right.
chested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was mighty concerned about the sort of brand new you were going on about for a minute there.
Yeah.
I don't know the first thing about dead bodies, so I'll just trust you.
Hmm.
I'm gonna head back to the hotel. I feel a little wiped out and a little hungry.
Yeah.
The sheriff
Maybe that
says,
sunny spot is still open.
yeah, maybe just
Somewhere in the
just for a
dining room.
few more hours. The sheriff says, "Okay, we're gonna scoop this man up and bury him right away. I don't think it's good to just keep him here. Doctor, do you need to see this man for anything?" And the doctor's like, "Nope, he's dead."
That's good. That's good that he could tell.
The
Yes.
sheriff says, "Okay, well," and then she kind of gets a couple of the miners, including Duff and Sal, to get some shovels, and they're gonna scoop up the body and go dig a hole. And now, for those of you that are kind of thinking about how the town is situated, right? They found the body over kind of on the direction of the mine, not exactly like in the mining area, but just kind of on a hill
Towards
near
it.
the mine face, the mine mouth. And then we have the tent town on the opposite end of town, down a hill. And there's actually a cemetery beyond that. And so the sheriff is organizing a couple people to go dig a hole over on that end of town. And she also says, well, we might as well bury Queasy while we're at it. It's been
Yeah.
Where
long enough.
are they burying him?
So
On
the
the-
tent town
Yep.
on the opposite side of the tent town.
So not in a-
further-
A graveyard or anything?
it's
Or
kind
is
of
there
like
sort of a
big
potter's
grave.
field there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably just a bunch of mass graves that they dump bodies in, right? Wheelbarrows.
Yeah.
May I
And,
ask before?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask before we move on from her, as she's directing traffic at the site and that sort of thing, do we see those marks on the sheriff?
You do.
Oh,
Yeah, she's another one of his people, so
You do.
that doesn't super
Yeah.
surprise me.
Yeah.
I think anyone that he picked is probably going to have the same.
I look at my hands. Does my hands have the things on?
I want to make sure.
They do not.
Okay.
Breathe a sigh of relief.
Cool.
Yeah, right.
So far, the people that you've noticed that do have the marks are Mr. Riggs, the owner of the kind of mercantile store, the owners of the hotel/restaurant. So that's Connie Caroline and her husband Pierre. You also noticed that the priest also had those marks, and I think that, and the sheriff. And those are all the people that you've confirmed
Okay.
so far that it
Yeah,
had.
but that's everyone that Barton picked to come work here. which makes me feel like Virgil probably has them too, and that makes me sad because I like Virgil, the bartender.
Queasy had them too, because he was the first one that we saw that had the marks, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he did have them, and they looked quite fresh. All of the other people you've noticed, they look a little old, like they've scarred over by this time. But on Queasy's body, he's definitely like, he had them before he died. Like he got them before he died.
Probably right before he died. It sounded like.
Yeah, it didn't stick. The other ones were fine, but.
Now,
right, Queasy lost his mind.
If any of you want to say a few words at this sort of thrown together last minute funeral that they're having for two men.
I didn't. I stepped back. The Homer's thing back.
What can I say about these two people? I hardly knew them. May they rest in peace.
Well, the sheriff is just curious. Well, I mean, there's not much else going on in the town.
That's true.
Not anywhere else to be.
I mean, Bailey would go pay his respects, but I don't think he needs. Like, he knew Queasy from having a drink or two with him, but this other guy couldn't even place him in a lineup.
Okay. Well, the sheriff says, "Well, looks like we're gonna need the preacher, so I'm gonna go get him." And this, and she looks at Jameson. I'm gonna go ask him to say a few words.
I will happily step forward so that you don't have to bother the preacher for such a
why would
sad affair.
Why would he have an issue with the preacher saying last rites over a departed man?
She says, I don't know.
Because he's evil.
Is the preacher holding the grudge because he hurt himself?
That's right.
He hurt himself.
He did hurt himself. We were all there. We saw it happen.
She says, "Well, either way, I hope that all of you will be civil during this little ceremony that we have. We are a small community, but we still want to act like human beings."
Yeah, I promise not to start fighting during the funeral.
No, but right afterwards.
Yes.
No promises.
No promises at the wake, though.
Right. Well, no. The wake is completely, So when we were looking at the body before everyone showed up, did Katie see any rocks in the body? Because I know that's what she was looking for.
Yeah. Like a kind of poke. Okay.
No, as you're looking at, what is very visible, because this body's basically broken into pieces.
Okay.
There's no evidence of rocks or dirt besides just what's around on the ground.
Molly. How long ago did they say Queasy saw the flying man?
Oh gosh.
Was it 30 days, Monty?
Yeah, it was about a month ago.
About a month ago. Yeah, because it was right when he
wandered off, kind of came back out of the woods saying that he saw this flying man, and just kind of has been off ever since.
That was a while ago.
And Luke's here has been missing for a while.
Well, Queasy obviously knew where he was if he bit his finger off.
It's true.
In a future meeting, maybe. But the first time he saw, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, if we've seen a flying man and people are falling from the heavens, perhaps there's some weird quantum reality time dilution stuff going on. Have you heard of string theory? It was his idea, right?
This is Jameson reads.
And Dr.
Jameson the adventurer.
She's like writing notes on what you're saying.
Hey, he spends a lot of time on those trips. He's got to have something to read.
Just read old scientific journals.
I thought it was like Penny Dreadfuls or something like that.
Okay. Well, the sheriff is kind of like calling all of the people toward the graves that she's about to have dug over
the
far end of the tent town.
Sure, we can go say goodbye.
I'm going to the hotel.
Okay,
I'm gonna go
hotel
because I want to make sure that man does not desecrate another person any more than he already has. So
I don't know if there's much left to desecrate.
Fierce. I don't know. Jameson, did you hang on to the finger then?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I got
You
a plan.
never know when it's going to come in handy.
Let me know when I'm back at the hotel. I got something I want to do.
Candy.
You can just do science.
Okay, so
What is happening?
who's attending the funeral? Besides
Bailey is.
Okay, Bailey.
I
is,
am.
Katie is.
Katie.
Molly, are you gonna?
I'm going to the funeral.
Okay. All right. Jameson's not going to. So let's start with the funeral, and then we'll come back to Jameson. Okay. So most of the miners from the tent town that knew Luke's kind of come. As you approach the cemetery, you notice that the cemetery is actually kind of small. Yes, it's kind of like a makeshift cemetery. It's not exactly got a wall around it or a fence or anything. You see a couple of rocks and maybe some sticks tied together to look like crosses. But considering that this town has been here for a while, a couple years for the gold rush, you're seeing maybe only 40 graves. Which seems like a lot less than you would have thought. And Katie, you've been here for a while, and you know that being in a boomtown is dangerous, and lots of people get in accidents, and people die all the time in just regular communities. But for some reason, there just aren't very many graves.
I mean, Bailey probably assumes that they're just on to their second graveyard. Like they already filled up the first graveyard. Now this is like somewhere else. So I don't know.
Is this the main one though? Like,
as far as you know, there isn't a second one.
Yeah.
You never heard anyone say anything about a second graveyard.
And I possibly hadn't had cause to head over there
not really.
before, but I'm going to say something quiet like to Bailey and Molly. There's almost 40 graves here.
I mean, maybe this is the luckiest boomtown ever.
Yeah.
You think? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, there's a lot about this town that doesn't add up. I think Jameson maybe had the right idea.
Now, a couple of the miners have dug some holes, so one to fit Queasy, Martin, and the other to fit poor Luke's. That really, again, people were like, "Oh, I didn't realize he was missing."
I didn't realize he was even existing.
And the preacher, right, he gets up and he gives the worst funerary sermon that any of you have ever heard. You can tell that he is just making up bullshit on the fly.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Badly.
Yes.
He kind of is like flipping through the Bible, like not even sure what he's looking for, just like hoping he'll find something useful.
It's like Mad Libs over there.
And a bunch of the miners are a little worried about that. They think that, that's not very nice of this preacher to give a half-hearted, thrown together funeral service for, a couple of their own. But they're not saying anything. And eventually, right, the preacher just kind of says, "Oh, okay, funeral's over." And the sheriff just kind of like kicks him and says, "Would anyone like to say a few words?" And none of the miners really want to say anything. But Sal does get up and he says, "I'm going to miss these two." And then that's about it.
Is Barden there at the funeral?
Barden is not at the funeral.
Right, it's probably the notables aren't there, right? Like the hoteliers and
the hoteliers aren't there. Like most
like
of the
Barden
people
should have been.
that live on Main Street and work on Main Street aren't there. You notice that it's basically just the miners that are attending the funeral, and of course Henry and the sheriff and the preacher. His preacher dragged him out. So Sal just says his short piece, and then the sheriff kind of signals Henry, and Henry starts kind of filling in the graves. She says, "Make sure you fill them in good so the wolves don't come." And then
jeez.
Okay. And he kind of like makes sure he puts extra dirt and then taps it down. And she's like, "Yeah, we'll find a couple rocks to mark these graves later." Well, good funeral preacher. And then she kind of just like tips her hat and walks off, and Henry kind of follows.
Yeah, because there is such a thing as a good funeral, huh?
Yeah.
And you're noticing, right? Like the preacher was just kind of going through the motions, but as you're
Sure.
kind of watching, like the miners, they seem quite torn up about this. In fact, they seem a little worried or kind of scared because, again, right, these are 2 miners in 2 days. The first one dying a really strange and almost accidental, horrific death, and then the other one was missing for who knows how long, and suddenly shows up dead. And so you hear a couple rumors starting to kind of.
I was going to ask. Okay.
Yeah, maybe these two, right? Like Queasy said something about a flying man, and then we have, of course, Luke's falling out of the sky, and then a couple people that didn't actually see the body are like, "There's no way he fell out of the sky. That's hogwash. There's no way that happened. Maybe he was just mauled by a bear," right? And so you're getting a couple of these versions of rumored explanations of maybe what happened. So maybe he blew himself up with a piece of dynamite. Maybe he got mauled by a moose. Right?
Yeah, those all make perfect sense.
Yes.
With the moosey claws.
Maybe the moose rammed into him and sent him flying into the air over the mountain, and then he crash landed and died.
Sure.
Completely plausible.
Have a recurring nightmare where I jump on a trampoline too high, and I can only imagine what that would be like if that really happened. So that's probably what it was. Totally. Or a moose attack.
And you are hearing a couple of those rumors talking about, right, like the fact that Queasy had Luke's finger in his stomach, and people are like, well, what happened there? And then the doctor kind of hears some of this, and he says, well, seems to me like Luke's was going up into the sky, grabbed onto somebody's face who didn't like it, got his finger bit off.
Wait,
and kind of some of the miners are like, what? The doctor says,
the doc is in this.
Yeah, he is. And he's just kind of like rambling like it's no big deal. Like he's talking about something completely normal.
Doc, going up in the sky, what are you even talking about?
I have a question on the doctor's appearance. Does he look like the ancient aliens guy? Because I just saw him go.
So he's going to the sky.
Aliens.
Yes. Kind of like that, except a lot older, shall we say. But he says, well, if you think about it, I mean, do you remember those scratches on Queasy's face?
Yes.
Yeah. They were going up his face.
Okay. Well, yeah. Obviously, these two had.
Face.
So you want me to believe that Queasy somehow threw this guy into the air with such might that he scratched his face as he flew to this hill? Doc, this isn't making sense to me.
The doctor said, well, I didn't say anything about Queasy tossing him into the air.
No.
I'm just saying that's what it looks like.
Maybe Queasy was laying on the ground and he was grabbing him and pulling him, and Queasy bit his finger off.
He says,
Or
that would make more sense.
if there was the flying
Hey, dog.
man, then he's trying to pull this guy, Luke's, up. And so Queasy sees him and is trying to grab on him. And then he's getting pulled up by the flying man. Then maybe that makes sense.
Look, maybe the issue here is that I'm not buying the flying man thing. Maybe if I was buying in on the flying man, this would all make perfect sense to me.
And Doctor
Say,
says, well,
Doc.
you don't believe the flying man's theory?
I don't know, doctor, do you? You're a doctor.
He says, just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not real.
Truth.
Mm-hmm.
Katie, what did you want to ask the doctor?
Doc, have you ever heard tales of flying men besides what Queasy was alleging?
He says, I did hear a story once. This is kind of a folktale story that the natives usually circulate. He says, they say that there's a legend that, the northern lights are actually spirits, and you're not supposed to go outside when they're flashing because they actually can swoop you up and take you up into the sky, and you'll never be seen again. In fact, Some versions of the tale say that they actually might steal your head right off your shoulders if you're not careful.
Wait,
That's quite a
it's quite the story.
tale. Yeah.
Again, who am I to say that's not real?
I mean, has nobody ever been out during the lights?
I mean, I've seen the lights before and I never got kidnapped, but
Same.
I've only been up here maybe a couple years. Luke's
Yeah,
Luke's
I mean,
been
same
up here
for me.
longer than anyone, and looks like they got him though. And the doctor
Someone got him. Look, I feel like I don't know if I'm buying all this flying men, but if that's the case, then I mean, are they going to come back?
says, "Who knows?" Better watch out. Better not go night walking.
Well, I don't intend to anyway.
Well, even if it's not an actual flying man, most stories like this are based in something, whether it's a
That's
really
true.
big bird, or which is terrifying, but maybe there's something else that is able to grab people and carry them off. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a flying man. Maybe it's a really big bird.
That's true. It could just be a really big bird that looks like a man.
Or it could be flying man.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
Or-
it could.
And hear me
And-
out.
Yeah.
Hear me? There might be a flying man.
At
Well-
least two of us think we saw a flying man. So
Listen, we saw a falling man,
no.
or maybe a catapulted man, trebucheted man.
The most
Edgar
trebuchet.
clearly said flying,
I mean,
and he does not lie.
yeah, I don't know how I feel about any of this. It's giving Bailey a headache.
I need a drink.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Aren't
Yeah.
you supposed to drink after a funeral anyway?
That's
Besides-
definitely where the
I
sheriff
think it is
headed.
customary.
Besides,
Yes.
Jim probably already has some ready to go.
True.
All right, let's go ahead and cut over to Jameson. Now, Jameson, you didn't go alone. Dr. Whitaker definitely did not want to go to this funeral. She says, "I hate funerals. Mind if I tag along with you?"
Wait, who's tagging him?
The geologist.
Oh, with Jameson.
Yeah.
She says, she starts telling the story. It all started when she was young. Her mother died of cholera, and she had to go sit in the funeral, and it snowed all day and all night the night before the funeral. And she had to go, and she was poor 5-year-old, poor little girl, watching them bury her mom. And she just kind of goes on this really long storytelling. Kind of reminiscent.
Non-committal.
This is Jameson's worst nightmare.
Mighty fast. Can I make a corruption roll for blather? Is that thing?
I'm gonna marry that woman. She's so fancified and chatty.
I'm gonna shoot her something too.
She says, ever since then, I never go to a funeral. Can't stand them. How about you? Do you like funerals? Doesn't seem like you do.
It's a mighty personal question, Doc.
Says, well, I suppose, but I mean, it's only a matter of time before someone dies, right?
Yeah, but if I don't like them, it don't matter much, does it?
She says, that's true. But it doesn't seem like you're the type of person that has very many friends, though, right? I mean, surely you know someone that's died and you've been to their funeral.
Just my wife, who is now living in my tragic backstory that I just made up.
And then she's like, you are a mysterious man, aren't you, Mr. Jameson?
Nope.
You've been to Egypt. You've had this mysterious tragedy in your past. Oh, I bet
Nope.
you have so many interesting stories.
Nope. I'm dull and boring, and don't ask too many questions.
And she definitely doesn't give you any time to actually tell her any of those stories. She just kind of continues on talking.
So I go back to the hotel. Does she come with me?
She does. She follows and doesn't even pay attention to the fact that you're trying to leave her behind.
Hey, Doc. Doc, can I get a word in?
And she says, "Oh yes, of course. What would you like to say?"
Where are you staying in town?
Says, "Well, probably the hotel."
Uh-huh. Well, here you are. I have to head off somewhere else. Bye.
Oh, okay. I'll see you later. And she goes to check in.
I go to the. I wait. I go run back to the hotel to the kitchen.
Okay.
I knock on the door.
All right. And Connie Caroline opens the door and says, "Oh, Mr. Moore, what can I do for you?"
Can I come in through the back?
And she says, "Sure." Trying to avoid somebody. And she kind of gives you a wink.
Yep, everybody.
Well, I get it. I understand. I have those days too. She kind of ushers you in. She says, "Would you like a cup of tea or a sandwich?"
Yes, and I have a bit of an odd request, but I'm gonna head up to Miss McGee's room where we're all staying. And can you have just a bowl of water sent to me?
Bowl of water. Oh, like
I gotta wash out my face and beard, and my beard looks like it hasn't been washed in probably 12 years.
Here, I'll send Stella up with a bowl in just a minute.
Mighty obliged. I'll yeah.
She's like, "Do you need a key to Miss McGee's room?"
Probably. I don't think she gave me one. I mean, I could probably just break the lock.
And she's like, "Oh, please don't do that." And she kind of just hands you a key. And she's like, "I'll be up in a second."
Okay. I'll just wait till I'm in the room and I have the bowl of water.
Okay. Eventually it comes up and there is a sandwich and a cup of tea accompanying it on a tray.
What kind of tea?
Looks just like Earl Grey.
I pour some whiskey in it.
Good job.
Yeah.
And I'll eat the sandwich. Hey, it's good. Yay. All right. The bowl of water. I'm gonna take the finger. I'm gonna set it in the water. I'm gonna see if it does anything weird, like points like a compass or something.
As far as you can tell, and I don't know how many times you've actually done this, it just looks like a
fingers in water. Not many.
Yeah.
So it just sits there and floats?
Just sits there. I mean, it's kind of floating, kind of also not floating. Just kind of bobbing a little bit.
Yeah, as a finger would do.
Yep.
Abracadabra.
At least it's not reaching for you, so that's a plus.
All right, I got nothing. I need my sandwich to go to bed.
Okay. All right. So the rest of you come back from the funeral, right? And what do? Where do you go? I mean,
have a drink,
Jameson
right?
said he was going to go to the hotel.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably the hotel. I mean, we have a place we can go there. There's booze there. It's probably okay, right?
Yeah, you can go there.
Sure.
Okay.
Then I want to get everyone together and tell them about my lunch meeting and what So is Jameson sleeping already? Can we wake him up?
You can wake me up. It's not a big deal.
I'm going to put your hand in the bowl of water that you just
That's been a thing for hundreds of years.
Yeah. I just invented it. It was never done before right now. Molly McGee invented it in 1891 or whatever it was.
Jameson's the kind of guy that just loves pranks, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. No, we go up and I'm sure us coming into the room is going to wake him up. Yeah. So, yeah.
No, you didn't miss much, Jameson.
McGraw, what?
I said you didn't miss much.
Yep, it's a funeral. Not much to miss. Somebody died. Everybody's sad. McGraw.
Yeah.
You have a talking bird that does magic stuff, right?
In a manner of speaking, yes.
Good. I was thinking that finger might be like a compass needle, point true north to whatever thingy. I don't know. You do magic. Do magic on the finger.
Just do some finger magic. Just make it do something.
I don't rightly know what you mean by do magic.
Well, I don't rightly know. Either.
She's very you've probably never seen her like this, but she's super self-conscious and would and avoid eye contact and look real uncomfortable. And I mean, Edgar can tell me things and they're sometimes strange things happen when I think about them, but I just think I'm not very lucky, I guess. But it's kind of why I'm here and not with my mom, dad, and brothers.
Make some of the weird things that happen to you that are lucky happen to this finger and see if it tells us where to go next.
You want me to ask the finger?
Yeah.
What we should do?
Look,
ask,
right, here's
ask
what
the
I'm
finger what happened to it.
I cannot say that I do. No.
There's only two forces in the world that can make a man fall from his height to death. Right? First force is gravity. Right? Second force is God. Right? I don't think it was God. He ain't in the habit of picking people up and just kind of chucking them back at the earth.
That we know of, but
Yeah.
point taken.
That means it was gravity, which means that man was high up, right? And the only thing that gets a man that high up is some sort of flying dirigible dinghy, and those ain't going to be around here because it's too cold.
I gotta stop you right there. When you get all sciencey, I really can't say I know what you're talking about.
It's a dirigible. It's like a big balloon that carries people.
Gotcha. Okay.
But that means the other option is some sort of magic. Now, you have a talking bird, which means you know magic.
I never really thought about it that way. I mean,
well,
Edgar's been with me since I had knee high. It's just been recent.
Well, I've never seen a talking bird. I've also never seen a man fly. So, whatever. If I've seen one, maybe the other's true. I have no idea.
All I'm saying is something out of the kin of this mortal world stuff is happening here. So you seem to be the one who's closest to, as my poppy would say, piercing the veil.
Ooh.
She, at that, like the last sort of stuff that you said, she actually looks like the most comfortable she's been in the last few minutes, where it's like, you really think so? Like you think it might be sort of like a talent and not just a strange curse?
It could be both. I don't have an answer for that.
No, Bailey, we had her. I thought you were good with people. I know. Don't bring the rest of the way in. Don't bring her back.
She's not really paying attention to you.
I mean,
okay, I'll give it a shot.
All right. Thank you.
Let me see. Mm-hmm. Edgar, you got my back. Let's see what I can do here. She's going to take the sides of the bowl because, he's Jameson's smart and he knows science, and he had all sorts of great ideas with the water and the pointing. So certainly that's got to be what I need to do. Is I'm just going to hold on to the sides of the bowl, and this is kind of what's happened to her in the past, but she just thought she had something bad going on where she's super unlucky because she would think really intense. If she had a really intense emotion or an intense thought, stuff would happen. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't good. But so she's going to try to do that with that finger. And maybe if it's not responding, she's going to stir the water around.
Okay.
And then just intently kind of try to compel the finger to tell us where to go next. Compel you.
For prosperity's sake, I would like to establish that if any plan starts with Jameson knows science, that is a bad plan, and we should not succeed.
Yeah.
You talk all fancy though, and
Jameson said enough science words in a row.
Yeah. Well, you know way more science than Katie does.
Okay, so Katie, what happens is while you're just kind of really concentrating on this finger, you're hearing Edgar's voice, but it doesn't sound like he's actually speaking words like he usually does. It kind of almost sounds like in your head like he's speaking pictures. Like he'll say something and it immediately conjures an image in your mind. Okay. And this is not something that you've really ever had happen to you before, so I'm actually going to have you roll a corruption save.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is a bizarre thing.
It is, because she's actually trying to manifest the thing that has happened,
on accident.
Yeah, by accident,
Mhm.
that she doesn't know how to really control. That would be no.
Okay.
But I do have that swell mystic trait where I can re-roll it. But if I fail, I'm going to lose two corruption instead of 1.
Okay.
Do I really want to do this? I think I do. I failed again.
Oh no! Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
This totally makes sense to me though, because okay.
Well, you lose 2 corruption points. Then,
Oh,
unfortunately.
oh, is that what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I fail, I lose
her.
2.
Yeah.
And I know. Yeah.
So you could be out for 2d6 days in a raving madness, right?
Yeah.
That seems like a bad idea.
No, I'll take that. I'll take that loss.
How much corruption do you have left?
5, because I am inured.
That's right. You start with 2 more than we did.
Yeah, so I got
very
2
nice.
more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
There's that buffer gone, so that's fun.
I know, it's kind of frightening to think the first time I try to cast a spell, though, it's like, bam.
Yeah.
And I didn't even cast the spell yet. And that, it's my understanding that when you cast spells, that you can lose corruption when you do that.
Yep.
So, because you're doing a corruption test. So this was a pre-corruption test. Is that correct?
A pre-corruption test.
No, I'm kind of asking the GM. That's correct, right?
Well, let's see. When you lose corruption, or when you fail, you can choose to lose corruption to not lose
all spells.
characters.
Yeah, all spells require a corruption test, which puts the sorcerers at risk. Because magic is
so it's
flipping magic.
Thing, so it's not like you automatically lose corruption if you do spells. But in this case, right, you were trying to do some kind of mystical magic. It didn't work. You chose to lose the corruption points rather than lose your control.
Then be out for
assuming, right? So basically, what happens though is with the corruption, right? Again, when you lose corruption, you just kind of become more aware of the reality that humans have kind of blocked out of their mind, right? So with this, you're basically seeing what appears to be some kind of vision, and Edgar is helping manifest this vision in your mind. You actually are seeing what you think is the kind of last few moments of Luke's life. Okay. So you see in your mind someone that you recognize as Queasy Martin. You notice that it's dark outside. You notice that you're having some kind of conversation, but you can't hear the words that Queasy Martin is saying. Almost as if you're in a separate room. So you can hear his voice, but you can't hear the words the voice is kind of trying to enunciate to you. Almost as if you're, again, behind a wall or behind a pane of glass or something.
Okay.
And while he's talking, you hear kind of a whistling sound coming from behind you. And you look, and there's nothing there. And as you look behind you, you notice that the church is kind of in the background. So it looks like you're both standing in the street in front of the church. Okay. And then suddenly, what you see is your own hand come out and grab the front of Queasy Martin's shirt. And then your other hand kind of comes out and grabs it as well. And then you notice that the arms are kind of lifting. up at an odd angle, and you notice that this angle suggests that you are being lifted up off of the ground, and you're clawing at Cuisinmartin, trying to stay put, trying to kind of stay grounded, and you're just like pulling at him, but whatever has got a hold of you that's kind of lifting you up is just like dragging you up quickly and fiercely, and you kind of feel your wrists kind of snap as you're trying to hold on so tight. And Cuisinmartin is trying to like claw at you, trying to get you to let go. And eventually your grip slips, so you grab onto his beard, and you're still trying to like make sure that you don't fly up into the sky. And then Cuisinmartin is again trying to just like claw you away from himself. And eventually he ends up biting you, biting your finger off, and that's the last thing you notice.
Wow.
Just intense pain of your finger just like disappearing, and then
whoa, I have a legit question, because based on that, can I choose to go ahead and instead of losing the 2 corruption, like, because that's intense. I don't know that even with I don't know even with like, you know, the trait, if she'd be all that baller and be able to be like, ooh, shake it off. Okay, here's what happened.
You're welcome to, if you want to lose, you know, like control of your character, you're welcome to do that.
Should we try to do that? Is that?
Yeah,
I would think I would like to try to do that. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
It really does, because it's like I said, it's the first time she's really tried to harness what Jameson is saying is magical ability, and it was a cluster kind of. So, and like it didn't work exactly how it should, and she saw pretty intense stuff. So yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and let you keep the corruption points, but we're gonna have you roll a d6 to see how many
D6.
days.
2d6, or because I was 2, or 1d6.
Let's just have you roll one, because it's the same corruption test. You just had that.
Let's
special ability.
roll the one that was betrayed me last time, and rolled a 1 2 times. Well, it rolled a 4. So, okay.
Okay, so
it's better than a 6.
It is better than a 6, but
yeah,
just
yeah.
Okay, so what the rest of you see is like Edgar sitting on Katie's shoulder. He kind of like lulls his head back as if he's kind of like falling asleep in a weird kind of birdish way, and then you kind of see Katie go like rigid, and she gets this really far away look in her eye, and she is just like holding on to the sides of this bowl, just trying to stare at this finger. And then suddenly she's holding onto the bowl so strongly that it just breaks. The porcelain just snaps and shatters in her hands, and the water just like pours onto the floor. And you realize by this point, like, she's holding onto the shards of porcelain so tightly that blood is starting to like drip out of her closed fists.
Maybe we should take care of that. Like, try to get her to let it go, and get some towels or something. We got that bowl of water. Does she say anything as this is happening?
Definitely falling onto the floor. She's not saying anything. She just is appearing to stare really just like far away.
I'm gonna go like gently at first, try to pry the porcelain from her hands.
Okay. Let's have you roll strength to see if you can break her grip.
Oh, of course. All right. The thing I'm super good at. No.
Okay. It doesn't seem like she's willing to let go. It seems like her muscles have just frozen in place, and you can't pry it out of her hands.
Hey, Minky, you're good with the doctoring, right?
Somewhat. I've never seen anything like this, but I'll see what I can do.
All right. But you know how to treat somebody who's been knocked unconscious, right?
I've been treating people who've been kicked by a horse, things like that. So
well, that's close enough.
Well, I don't kick her like a horse, and then I'm gonna just punch Kitty in the face so she goes unconscious.
There.
I don't like it. I feel bad about it, but I knock her unconscious. Maybe she'll let go. That's all I got.
Well, I am bleeding and stuff, so.
Right, I got to stop you from holding on to it. So if I can knock you out, maybe you'll stop.
I don't think it's a logical leap. I think it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want to really punch her, Jameson?
I mean,
I'm not trying to hurt her. Like,
yeah, just
right? I
to
wanna
knock her out.
Yeah, sure.
Keep
Okay.
her from hurting herself more.
Well, I won't have you roll for it because she's just standing and not moving. So if you
It's an
punch
easy target.
her,
Wow, she didn't
She
even try to
does,
get
like-
out of the way.
fall over. Her
I'll
hands
grab
do
her.
release.
I'll try to grab her before she falls.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get her into bed.
You do notice though that Edgar just like falls off of her shoulder as if he's just like stone cold dead, just like plops.
Wow.
Jeez. Did you just kill the bird?
I only punched her.
Let's get her into bed and see if she wakes up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, I'll lay her in bed. I'll let Molly whatever, and I'll
Do
go
that.
poke Edgar.
Okay.
Did-
Edgar, you can kind of see a little bit of breath. So he's
Alright.
not dead.
I didn't know if demon birds breathed or not, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I've never seen
I-
a demon bird either.
I
so.
ain't all there, or I would say something.
Yeah, so I'll pick him up so he's not on the ground and
Okay.
make him a little nest or something. Like, what do you do with a bird?
Out of some socks.
Yeah, like roll up a pillow or something.
To be clear, Jameson hates this bird. He's only doing it because he likes Katie as a person and is her.
Aw.
If Katie was dead and the bird was here, I'd just throw it out the window. I'd be like, whatever. Demon bird goes.
It's a bird. I mean, it can survive a fall out of a window, right?
But don't feel bad. I would do that for any of you. So it's okay.
Well, that's good
The
to know.
punching, you would do that for any of them.
And throw out your beloved pet. You do it all.
Oh, good. Cool. Thanks.
So I'll make a little
the
nest
punch
for
did
it.
work. She let go of the porcelain shards.
Okay.
That's the real goal, so that's good.
Okay. After a few minutes, Edgar kind of shakes his head and does come to. And Katie, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to do a fun thing. We're going to have you, even though you've lost control of your character, we're going to have you act as Edgar. Okay. So for
Oh, right
4
on.
days, we're going to have
Okay.
Katie stuck in this kind of episode of madness as she's coming to terms with the bizarre truth that she just saw using her mystical
Awesome.
ability.
Mhm.
And the rest of you are having to interact with who you assume is still Edgar, right? But we're going to just say that obviously Gina's just going to be playing Edgar for the next 4 in-game days.
But Edgar can hang out with so he's not incapacitated, but
No, he is not.
Oh, it seems like the shock
I
of it
love
knocked
it.
him.
love it.
Okay, so obviously Edgar can't communicate with the rest of you besides with what birds can kind of, just do with body language. And Jameson, you do have beast speaker, which we kind of decided was your ability to
Oh,
just
that's true.
know what your dogs want, and you're able to communicate with your dog. So if you want to apply it to Edgar, at least in a limited way, you're welcome to do that.
Oh crap!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
This is gonna get-
bird.
Yep.
I look forward to making this really weird.
This bird is going to be your best friend.
I'm gonna shoot your bird. There is a threshold where I shoot the bird, just so you know.
It's very possible. We'll see how that goes.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and take a short break before we get to this next thing. So we'll be back in
Cool.
7 minutes at 8:46.
All right.
All right, see you in 7 minutes.
get all rearranged. There we go.
OBS does that too.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Ooh.
Wow.
Great.
Lottie, it's so awesome. That was just
Have to deal with the bird more.
I know.
Super happy about that.
There's just like layers and layers of awesome with what just happened. I really like it.
I think this will be cool. I don't think I've ever had a Cthulhu game of any kind where a character became an animal and had to like communicate with the rest of the players.
That's hilarious, Paul Wog.
Pollywog, that's his name.
Oh my god. I just
Like,
got
really
that because
his
you
name?
said it.
No,
No.
that's just his Facebook name.
Oh, okay.
Paul exists to troll me with puns because he
I-
knows I hate puns.
You're the
I'm a well-known pun
pun
hater.
hater. It's
I
because
love puns so much.
it's because Alan doesn't like fun.
I like fun.
No,
we're
I'm just-
all having fun right now, aren't we?
Yes.
Isn't this fun?
Exactly.
He is the author of our fun tonight.
I know. I'm joking. I
Literally.
have mixed
As I-
emotions about puns.
As I threaten to shoot the bird. I like fun.
Oh my god, cat. Call of
Oh,
Cthulhu
Call of Cthulhu
cat?
is hilarious.
Wow.
Cats with mosquitoes. That's awesome.
Wow.
That sounds fun. Okay, well, let's get back into it. So, Katie just fell over. She's still kind of given
All
the
over.
thousand league stare. She's
Yeah.
no longer clutching the broken porcelain of the bowl, but she is definitely just kind of inert. We
I
decided
am.
Katie is now acting as Edgar. So what does Edgar do? Right? Edgar comes to. Katie's laying down. What is the first thing that Edgar does?
Where's Kate? You guys, Katie on the bed or the couch or a chair or something? He'll just hop next to her and do like with his beak, like trying to poke at her, like, wake up. Wait, Katie. Katie, wake up, Katie.
She doesn't
Peck,
respond.
peck, peck.
She doesn't say anything to you.
Oh no, Katie, what did you do? She look like the bird starts rotating its head like birds do, like way a lot. And looking at you guys, like, what happened? Oh, ravens make that creepy
Croaking noise.
Yeah, croaking noise. It's not really
Mhm.
caw. So all of a sudden there's like some distressed. Like if you could think a raven could be distressed, it's kind of distressed and it's like, what's happening? Flap, 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 flap. Like, what did you do? What happened? Katie, nudge, nudge. So there's like a bird being upset and making a lot of noise and flapping. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Unless they choose to try to make me not do that.
Being on a farm, I've seen animals bond with their humans before, so this is like, he obviously is worried about her, but I like have a, washcloth, not on her face. I'm not like on her face with a washcloth, but like, rubbing her forehead with a cool
Oh.
washcloth or whatever, yeah. I'm not waterboarding her with.
As you do that, Edgar will like fly over and perch on your shoulder because you're taking care of Katie.
Okay, I am uncomfortable with this, but I let it happen because that's a huge bird and it scares me. So I just go, and then
Just
just
a big bird.
yes.
It's like big.
Oh, lean over to Bailey. Can I shoot the bird? You're muted there, Bailey. Your lips are moving, but nothing's happening.
There he is.
I was muted that whole time.
Yeah. Thought it was
All right.
quiet.
Yeah, I was unnecessarily quiet for too long. You had to know something was going on.
I was just really hopeful. I just got really optimistic for a minute.
Now you know what? I think that when Katie wakes up, she's going to be looking for that bird.
That was fair. I can tell her it flew out the window.
I think she can like know where it is at all times and talk to it and maybe even see through its eyes. And I don't know. This thing is like beyond creepy to me.
That's what I've been saying, but nobody.
Look at it. It's just sitting there. It's like staring at her. I don't know. It's too much.
Hey, Edgar,
Mm-hmm.
does a bird like turn and look at me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Knows its name.
Cool. I take a step back. Is there something you can do to bring Katie back from beyond the pale or wherever she done gone?
I don't think you understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. I'm gonna assume that's no. Sorry about Katie.
I
It
mean,
was Bailey's idea.
what? I don't know anything about this magic stuff.
Whatever. Do you have the speaker? Yeah, that's what I thought. It's Bailey's fault.
You know what? I take the blame for enough around here as it is.
Around this time, you hear a knock at the door.
Uh-oh. Peek? I'll answer and peek.
Okay. It's Dr. Whitaker, and she says,
Oh.
Oh, Mr. Bailey, I didn't know that you were staying in the hotel.
Why did you knock on my door then?
I'm
She's
not
like,
here.
well, I thought I heard an animal noise in there. And she kind of
Nope.
like looks over your
all
shoulder and says,
good.
oh, you're all in there.
Nope.
Hi.
Oh,
No one's in here but me. Certainly not Jameson.
how did I become the focal point for all these things I don't want?
I've heard that the more you fight it, the more it happens.
What are you all doing in here? Wow, Miss Katie doesn't look very, very alive. Is she okay?
She's alive. She's just, the funeral took a lot out of her, so she's just resting. We're taking care of her. It's best if you go away. Keep it down.
She says, "Oh, okay. I just wanted to tell you all. I made some new friends, and they actually invited me to go to a little kind of welcoming party
I
at
pull her in the
church
room.
tonight."
Nope, pull her in the room.
And she's like, and I was wondering if you wanted to come to this welcoming party because it sounded so fun. She said, I was checking in. Mr. Lambert, he invited me.
Yeah, I'm going to suggest you pass on that.
Why would I miss my own party? That doesn't seem like a very nice thing to do. I mean, all of the townsfolk were really, really excited about
All right,
me
let
attending.
me put it this way. The last person that attended this party drowned himself after biting off another human's finger. So,
like,
I mean, that's what we've got going on here.
Oh, but I thought that's not what I heard.
I couldn't even
heard that,
imagine.
He went crazy. Like he was already kind of disturbed.
I mean, he definitely went crazy. I don't think anyone's arguing that.
And I don't think that he would go crazy and bite someone's finger just because of a party. That doesn't seem very logical, Mr. Bailey. Are you trying to tell me a joke? Are you?
You're correct. It doesn't seem logical at all. Welcome to the club.
No, don't welcome to the club. That's why we don't want her to go to the party.
Well, our club is the club of, I don't know. I'd rather be on the outside of this club.
Yes.
I'm perfectly happy not knowing exactly what happens inside these meetings. I know that I don't want to know, but it's obviously something really bad.
Well, she's like, well, but I heard Mr. Barden would be there, and I haven't even met him yet. And I heard that he's friends with my father, and I thought that would be a good person to meet.
Supposedly,
Miss Whitaker, you remember that story you were blathering on about your dead whatever mother? I think.
She's like,
dead somebody.
such a sad story. I mean, it's really just been a defining feature of my life.
Let me put it to you this way: if you go to this party, that party will be the defining feature of your death.
Well,
are you trying to tell me a joke too? I mean, that seems kind of silly.
I mean, to be fair, not everyone that's had this ceremony.
Humor.
Listen, not everyone that's done this has gone crazy and flown through the air or eaten a human finger. Some of them just came out with stab wounds on their hands and feet and are now like mind-controlled drones. So there's one or the other option.
You are an intelligent, educated woman. Yes.
She says, "Why, thank you. I like to consider myself as such."
Right. What would you call a group of people who meet on the sly and regularly ritually scarify themselves?
Religious.
Right.
Oh, is this a religious party? I mean, it is happening at the church.
Well,
so
What?
should I wear my Sunday clothes? Is that what you're saying?
You know what? Have a good time.
I think
Well, I thought it would be nice if you accompanied me. I mean, if it is a party, it would be nice to have more friends there, right?
yeah, I don't think they would be happy to see us there.
they did ask me to go to this party too.
Oh,
What?
Why would you go?
So
What is happening in this group?
because we can find out more about what's going on in this strange town.
I'm
So
kind of content not knowing. This sounds awful. What if
As an
that's all it
alternative
takes?
solution, we let them all go to the party. Then we just bar the doors and burn the church down.
she's like,
I mean, I've heard worse ideas, but that
wait.
doesn't sound very great.
you want to burn the church down?
It's
Mr. Moore, I don't think that's a very nice thing to do.
He didn't say he wanted to do it. He said that he thinks maybe we should do it. Those are two different things.
I won't feel good about it, but yes.
Right.
It was what's the fancy word for when you're saying something that sounds like something but you really mean something else?
A lie.
That's-
I was gonna go with a metaphor.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, that works too.
Simile. That's a simile.
I
Using
mean,
like or
if
as.
you're really going to go, then we'll at least be outside. But the thing is, you don't know what it's going to be like in there. It might
No,
only take...
which is why it might be better if you guys go, if you accompany us
Did you
to
just say
this
witches?
party. Which is why, not witches.
Well, that might be witches. I don't know yet.
Which is why it might be best if y'all accompany us to this shindig.
What if we accompany you to the door and wait outside?
Because you guys want to bar the door. I'm sorry, you guys think you should bar the door and burn the church down, and I don't want to be in when you do it.
Look, we won't do it with you in it unless you also lose your mind.
Can I bring my gun?
Yes,
Well, I think
of
you
course.
must have to.
I'm going to bring mine.
You're gonna bring a gun to a party?
Well,
Yes.
I mean, look at where we live.
Mm-hmm.
I bring a gun when I go to bed. I bring a gun when I use the toilet. I bring a gun. All right, you assume I'm carrying a gun.
Oh, is that because of the wolves? I heard that there's wolves in the woods.
Yes.
I mean, there's probably wolves in the woods.
The
Sure.
worst monsters up here are man.
We were the
She's
monsters
like,
all along.
That sounds so mysterious.
Edgar croaks, like, and then goes and flies and perches on Jameson's shoulder. Like, okay, here we go. We're
Like a
ready to
frontier
go.
pirate with your raven
Yep.
instead of your parrot.
That's awesome.
I guess we're going to the party with the bird.
Bro.
Sorry,
I'm bringing my
Bailey.
gun.
I'm gonna tell him to stay close to Jameson.
What? Why did you do that?
You got nice big shoulders to perch on.
All right. Miss Whitaker, we will accompany you, and we'll have a mighty fine time at this year party. If you'll give us a moment, I need to change into my Sunday best. It's going to be a church after all.
And she says, "Oh, good idea. I will change as well." And she kind of zips off.
Meet you down in the lobby downstairs.
Mhm.
Hey, I don't have a Sunday best. I basically have one set of clothes, and I'm currently wearing them.
Yes.
So,
Well, no, Jameson's Sunday best is that he like dust out his clothes before he goes into church.
I might have like one outfit left from my husband's clothes that died. If you want to wear my dead husband's outfit, he was fancy. He was rich.
Did he die in the outfit?
No, he was buried in the outfit he died in.
All right, then I'm fine with it. Did you kill him?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to be wearing a dead man's clothes to some
Just
weird.
say that out loud, or was that your inside Jameson voice?
Probably allowed.
I mean, it's a good question.
Slowly unraveling. There's a bird on his shoulder. We're going into a cult religious thingy. Like, this is just not going well for me.
But
I mean,
we know that we're
happened
heading
to Molly's
into.
husband.
Which
Yeah.
is a bad reason. That's not a justification. Saying we know we're walking into a trap doesn't change the nature of the trap.
No.
It's like
No, but
we're
it means
aware
you're
of
looking
it.
for it.
Yeah.
Maybe
You
there's
don't know
less
what the
likely
trap
to.
is.
Okay, well, here's
We're
the
not
thing.
making more aware.
If they
Just
ask
wear-
you to go into a closet, you say no.
That's generally a good rule of thumb, but also just wear like good gloves so that your palms are protected, or just always walk like
Right.
this.
I will put on the dead man's clothes,
Cool.
and then I will put my big like frontier overcoat over them because I'm still me,
Mhm.
and packing my pistol.
What do you wear? I don't know that you ever said like a musher outfit, pretty much.
Yeah, the
imagine
standard
just-
Musher uniform of 1890s Yukon. It's
Yes, every
page
Musher has
shorts and
one.
a newsboy cap.
I literally just imagine Jameson as a walking pile of furs all the time.
Yeah,
I probably just wear like frontiers person like denims or whatever, right? And like a coarse button down shirt that's warm and like a big overcoat.
Yeah.
He would dress like a frontiers person, like because he's always out there in the elements doing stuff. So
Yeah.
and it's very sturdy, worn kind of clothing. He probably dresses a lot like the miners do in the winter, actually, but more suited for travel. So
Yeah, I mean it's popular for a
Nice.
reason.
this is the fanciest I've looked since I got married. So
There we go. Look at that. Come up twice in one night.
Jameson's married.
Mysterious past of Jameson Moore.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, Bailey, I'm assuming.
I mean, I have clothes.
Okay. Do you
Bailey
go-
dresses nice
do you
enough.
Go get them from your house or rented room, I guess.
No, I mean I'm probably already wearing at least. Bailey's generally wearing some kind of suit, so it's good enough.
All right, excellent. Okay, well, the party isn't for another few hours because it was after dark, and this is about dinner time. The sun's setting, but it's not quite time for the party yet. So if you go down to the lobby, Dr. Whitaker is actually sitting with the banker, Mr. Frank, at a table, and they're having a wonderful conversation.
is he part of the conversation or is he just listening?
He actually appears to be fascinated by everything that she's saying, but of course, she is dominating the conversation.
He's a better man than I am.
Here's someone that I know.
You do know Mr.
So
Frank.
I'm gonna go. This is a great chance for me to go say hi to him and shake his hand like I normally would.
Okay.
I'm gonna look for marks on his hand that I'd never really looked for before.
All right. So, really quick kind of background of Mr. Frank. He is the banker. He was originally brought with most of the townsfolk, right, to kind of run Main Street. He's the one that essentially writes a lot of bank notes for people, and then of course just kind of has a small bank. Like it's not like obviously a ton of vaults or anything like that, right? It's mostly like one safe in the back of the storeroom, right? That he's kind of operating out of. You know him to be quite a quiet gentleman. He doesn't speak a lot, but he is actually quite nice, if albeit stern, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of a no-nonsense person, but he's generally quite friendly, even though he's kind of quiet. You do think it's a little odd that he's talking to, or at least sitting down with Dr. Whitaker, because you've never really known him to take particular interest in anyone before.
Yeah, that's why I find this whole thing odd.
It is a little odd. And as you approach him to shake his hand, you do notice that he also does have these kind of marks.
Knew it. Can't trust anyone.
He kind of looks at you, Bailey, and says, "Ah, Bailey, good evening."
I'm gonna sit down. I'm not gonna wait for an introduction or like an invitation. Like, so what was the doctor's name? Is
Whitaker.
Whitaker, right? What's her first
Oh,
name?
that doctor.
Delilah.
Delilah. Thank you. I'm gonna say I see you've met Delilah.
And he says, "Yes, we've just been acquainted. I actually, well, I don't exactly know her father, but I know of her father." So we were just kind of talking a little bit about him.
Awesome. Well, I imagine you'll be joining everyone tonight.
And Mr. Frank kind of gets a little bit of a stern look in his eye, and he says, "Tonight."
Yeah, tonight. There's a whole hoopla tonight, right? A whole shindig.
And he kind of looks at the doctor, and Dr. Whitaker is like, "Oh, I invited a whole bunch of people, if you don't mind." And Mr. Frank just kind of looks a little concerned, and he says, "Well," and he kind of looks you up and down, Bailey, and he's kind of just deciding what he should say before he says anything. And he says, "If you'll excuse me," and he just like gets up and walks to the back room where that is Mr. Lambert's office.
Yeah. Well.
And
let's.
Dr. Whitaker says, "Oh, should I not have invited you?
Let's
I'm
just.
so sorry."
Let's go before they get back. Before they can tell us that we're not invited.
Says, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Let's go." So she kind of stands up to exit.
Yes, we go.
Was the banker eating dinner?
He was not.
Was anybody eating dinner?
It did look like Dr. Whitaker had ordered something. She didn't quite get to finish it, but.
Well, I'll eat whatever's left real fast and then go after them.
Don't let it go to waste.
I'm hungry.
Okay.
Is that Edgar on my shoulder?
Edgar is on your shoulder.
Frontier pirate.
Great. So all three of you
Exactly.
kind of just rush over to the church with Dr. Whitaker real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And she says, "You know, they told me that
It is.
you get to stay there."
He's kind of nuzzling you a little bit, just because. I mean, he's not been without Katie for 20 years.
You just need some dye for that.
And he's a little bit sad, and he's more familiar with you than he probably is anybody else, Jameson. So.
Oh, you're being nuzzled by the raven.
I know. Bit
Your
lonely.
dream come true.
And she, while you're headed over toward the church, Dr. Whitaker says, "Oh, I'm really worried. I mean, I was talking to Mr. Frank. I didn't realize that he knew my father. I really hope he doesn't send a telegram home."
Wait, why would you be worried about that?
She says, "Oh, never mind. It's nothing really. Let's go to the party."
And I don't like any of this.
I'm probably in my head already at this point counting bullets to see how many people before I have to shoot the bird and then myself.
Wow. That got dark really quick.
Because there's going to be a moment where I think we're approaching that point, and that bird's going before I am.
Okay, so you come up to the steps of the church, and the church door is locked.
Well, I guess it's not time yet.
Oh no, I guess we can't go to the party. I got all dressed up in a dead man's duds for nothing.
You do know that there's someone in there because you can kind of hear some scuffling, and you do see that there's some candles lit on the inside.
Well, let's listen.
When you say scuffling, do you mean like people are scuffling?
Or do you mean like shuffling around?
You hear sorry, I meant shuffling, but
Okay.
you can hear like maybe what sounds like pews being kind of like drawn across the floor.
So they're rearranging it sounds like.
I say we go check the back door.
Is there a back door?
There is no back door, but there are windows all across the sides of the church.
There can be a back door.
I mean, that's true. We could make a back door. Yeah, well, let's peek in the window then.
Okay. All right. It's not too hard. You look inside and you see definitely the preacher. Now, he's not in the back room. What he appears to be doing is moving the pews into kind of the sides so that it opens up the floor.
Wow, this doesn't seem like a good thing.
He could just be moving them out of the way so there's more room for the party, the gathering.
Yeah, or for his weird rituals.
Or he could be
one or the other.
painting something on the floor that's all, exercisey. I'm not sure. There's plenty of options available.
I mean, we can keep watching. There's no reason not to watch and see what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As you continue to watch him, he definitely doesn't notice as you're kind of peeking in through the window. It does look like he is producing what appears to be kind of a piece of chalk.
See,
and
what did I
he
say?
has kind of a bag that he pulls out that it obviously looks like a bag of salt.
Yeah, no, he's just moving them for the dance floor, right?
Mm-hmm. He's just marking the dance floor safely.
Right. He's like, don't cross this line when you're dancing. That's
and the
what he's
salt
doing.
is to make sure there's no snow on the dance floor because it's cold out. He
That's
doesn't
right.
want anyone to hurt themselves.
No, he's very considerate.
I
Very
thought this town had band dancing.
The other thing that
It's Footloose.
This is the actual town from Footloose.
Yes.
My grandparents were actually one of the congregations. They were like the extras in the movie.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
I do have a Footloose story. Ask me after this session.
So you notice though that as he's kind of doing whatever it is that he's doing, like he continues to kind of like go back to the back of the church and then like come back and then go back to
the
back
book
of the
back
church
there.
I would
Get that book.
I would like to return to my burn it down plan.
Let's get that book. I want to know what's in it.
I don't want to get the book. Can we just burn it?
I mean, we probably could just burn it. If we're going to burn it, now's the time to burn it before anyone's in it.
Hey, how big is
That
that?
feels extreme to me.
Yeah.
How big is Edgar?
Like almost 3 feet.
So, like, big enough to carry a book?
I don't know how strong they are, but he is not able to interact with animate objects. Is my
No,
understanding.
that's not helpful.
Wait, he can't interact
So
with
he
any animate object?
Not really, because I think he's technically, you don't know this, but Edgar's a spirit that's attached to
Oh, so he's not even a
a
real bird.
spirit, and so his appearance is as a raven.
Oh, so he can't like land on anything or.
No, here's what I picture is that he, because he can be seen by everybody else. So I think he can, but like say he lands on your shoulder, it's like it doesn't, you don't feel the weight of an actual, like a real bird or.
Oh, good. I feel better about this now.
Well,
Yeah, it's
It
not
could be
like
on you right now and you don't know it.
Jameson isn't an inanimate object anyway, though, so he might.
Yeah.
So that might not be a problem.
But as far as the book, I don't think he can.
No, it doesn't sound like it if that's how it works.
Yeah, because they're incorporeal.
I feel like I have every right to be concerned.
think so.
Yeah, they're getting ready to do a whole on like satanic ritual here.
So that
what's
that
our-
isn't a new layer of extra Edgarness that you didn't know probably before.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mhm.
You're
So what's
noticing
our-
now. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what's our move? Like, if they're gonna do some sort of ritualized murder thing, what do we do?
I mean, what do we
Doctor
do?
says, I don't think they're going to murder anyone. I think they're just here to welcome me into the town.
They're here to welcome you into the little devil circle. I mean, what do you think they're painting down there?
She says, Devil circle?
Yeah, little devil. This is the part we needed Katie for.
Oh,
Well, I mean, if we wanted someone to really just enrapture someone so that we could be all sneaky snake, we have someone who talks a lot and very much likes to hold people's attention. So maybe use Dr. Whitaker as bait.
I
Or
thought you were going to do it with Bailey, and I got so excited for a minute.
I know.
Look,
I thought too.
look. It's rare that I meet someone that can talk me under a table, but 100%,
Yes.
you can't get her to shut up.
Look, I don't really. Is she like standing next to me?
She's always standing next to you.
Yeah, I mean,
She's right behind me, isn't she?
The doctor is a wonderful person, and I would feel very uncomfortable putting her in any form of danger that we couldn't immediately protect her against.
Well, why don't she and I go in there now? Oh, it's locked, wasn't it?
Why don't we send Molly and her in, because they were invited to the party.
That's true. You were actually invited, Molly.
And then Bailey and I will see if we can't find ourselves a way to sneak in to that back room and steal.
And I think he means break in, but yeah, I'm good with that.
Sneak. Yes.
I'm not terribly sneaky. Plus, I got a demon bird,
You do.
Yeah.
which I assume makes me inherently less sneaky.
I mean, I guess it depends if it's got some of that demon bird magic that can, make you invisible or something. I don't know how this works.
It makes him 3 feet taller than he is. So, like,
Oh,
so you
Yeah.
can scare off bears. So-
yes.
Yeah.
Just get big.
we can
Yeah.
use Edgar to cause a distraction. Actually,
That's true. We could.
That's true. We could have Edgar just fly around.
can't be hurt and
Well,
can't touch
can be.
anything.
we don't know that he can't be hurt. I mean, we know, but like Jameson doesn't know.
I'm pretty sure it's a ghost at this point in my life. It talks,
This is not even
anything. It's clearly a ghost of some demon
This
bird.
thing is
A ghost
100%
demon
a ghost bird.
The only thing that don't weigh nothing are ghosts.
Let me tell you, I've been thinking this for a long time.
Because he's good at science.
Yeah, right. That's right. There's a scientific explanation for everything, including this ghost demon bird.
Okay, so by this point, you actually see the sheriff and Henry kind of round the corner, and they're kind of like, "Whoa, what are you all doing here in front of the church? Hanging
They see
out?
all of us.
The church is closed." Yeah, you're just all standing there. I mean, none of you said you were hiding. You're just kind of peeking in
That's
through
true.
the church windows.
Bailey and I were accompanying Miss Whitaker and Miss McGee to the church to make sure they got here safely. And once they were
Mhm.
inside, we were planning to head on out.
All of that's true. That's all true.
And the sheriff says, "Head on out where?"
Back home, we have lives,
To the bar. That's where I was going.
She
Right.
says, I think I'll join you.
That seems like a good plan, Sheriff.
Wait, you're not invited to this party tonight? They're not inviting you, the sheriff?
And she's like, "Oh, I've been to plenty of these. I don't need to go to another one."
Mhm.
Well, Bailey was heading home and I was heading to the bar, so I'll
That's
get
right.
on my way.
So sounds good. Henry, you want to come along? Henry's like, "Sure, why not?"
Well,
Like,
I'm
Bailey,
this
like-
way. Yep, I'm this way. Bye, guys.
All right, you guys, your fate is in the hands of Bailey, so best luck.
Oh, good.
I'm assuming Jameson can find some way to sneak back out. We'll see.
What do you think my skill set is? I can either shoot them or I can punch them. Like,
Wait a minute,
those are the things I do.
I'm realizing now that leaving Jameson alone with the sheriff, there's like a 90% chance the sheriff ends up shot.
Solid chance. Yes.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jameson, Henry, the sheriff, they all head off to the saloon. Bailey,
Mhm.
you pretend to go to your rented room, and then you circle back.
Sneak right, yep, right around the side of the church. So I
All right.
can keep peeking through the window. This time I do want to hide.
All right.
As people approach the church, I don't want them seeing me back there.
Okay. Let's go ahead and have you roll a stealth roll then.
Ooh, I don't have anything that would help with that. So just regular 2 dice for me. Ooh,
Nice. Okay, you are super.
Not
one with the
bad.
shadows.
No one can see me, not even the demon bird. Which, speaking of which, did he go with Jameson?
Mm-hmm.
I said he because it's a male name, but Edgar might be
Yeah.
at it.
Could
I
be.
don't really. I'm not sure.
We'll let Gina decide.
Yeah, I think sticking with Jameson, because, and I think mostly just because like he's not been absent from Katie for probably even this long, since
Ever?
they came together. Yeah,
Okay. So there's some.
familiarity.
That's deep.
It is.
All right. So Bailey, you're hiding on the side of the church.
I am.
Eventually, what you notice, and Molly, you're obviously standing there with Dr. Whitaker, that the church door opens. The preacher kind of opens the door and says, "Ah, you're here already. Ah, and Miss McGee, I'm so glad to see that you've decided to join us." And he kind of like looks over your shoulder and says, we're waiting on a couple more people, but come on in. And as you go in, you notice that all of the pews that he had moved out of the way are now moved back into place. So
Well, that doesn't look good at all.
regular rows of seats like there usually is on Sunday. The other thing that you're noticing is that the floor itself, it appears like there are some kind of like marks, but it doesn't look like he actually like drew anything substantial like you saw the night that you first met with him, and you saw that, like in his back room where he had drawn like this elaborate gorgeous circle. It just kind of seems like there might have been something drawn at some point a long time ago, but it doesn't seem like there's anything there like much left anymore.
Okay.
Yes, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yep. And he kind of says, well, sit anywhere you like. We're still waiting on the mayor and a couple more people from around town.
Okay. So I go and sit in one of the back corner pews so I can see everything.
Okay. And it does look like the whole church is kind of lit up with a bunch of candles. It's starting to get dark outside, which is definitely why Bailey's able to kind of zip into the alleyway.
Vanish into shadows.
Dr. Whitaker is kind of just like nervously babbling with the preacher. She's talking about how she's super excited to be part of the community. She doesn't know how long she'll be here, but it's really nice that she's meeting a couple people that knew her father, and so she's really excited to see the mayor because she never actually met him before, and he's the one that actually invited her father up here. And of course, she went instead of her. She's just kind of babbling, and the preacher's kind of not really listening. It looks like he's just kind of looking back toward the closet, as if he's kind of trying to check on something, but doesn't quite want to leave the conversation. Okay, eventually, you do see Barden show up, and he has his own posse. As the mayor, he does have about 3 or 4 just kind of like bodyguards that just kind of accompany him everywhere. But he's also accompanied by Mr. Frank from the bank. And he also has Mr. Lambert from the hotel. Connie Caroline is not there, though. And that's all that's there. Oh, you also have Mr. Riggs. Mr. Riggs is there. And Molly, Mr. Riggs, he sees you in the corner, and he immediately walks over to where you are, and he says, so I see that you've decided to stick around.
Yes, I think I'm going to, and community is so important, and since we're welcoming in Dr. Whitaker here, I thought what better time than to just do a twofer. So
he says, that's very wise. I'm glad that you're staying for the winter. It is going to be a cold one, I think. And he kind of looks up at the ceiling a little bit and says, well, hopefully the warmness of our community will keep us all cheery all winter long. And he kind of like gives this like really creepy, knowing smile.
No good.
I'm like, huh, yes, perhaps.
And Barden, basically what happens is Barden comes in and he doesn't talk to anyone. He almost looks like he doesn't even care about anybody in here. But he does see Ms. Whitaker and his eyes narrow just a little bit. And so he goes over and talks to her. And they start kind of whispering, and it kind of sounds like he's upset. And she sounds a little scared while they're talking. So let's go ahead and see, Molly, if you can roll to hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
Would I pause? Is this just happen to be right by the window I'm hiding outside?
It is kind of right by the window. So
Perhaps, yes.
All right, let me.
Oh. A 5 and a 6.
Nice. Okay.
Nice.
How about you, Bailey?
Oh my gosh. Nope.
Nope. Okay, Bailey. Dang it.
Oh, shoot.
Wow.
So you can't quite hear, but
Not even close.
You can kind of see that they're having a conversation in the corner. Molly, you definitely hear everything. And what you hear is Barden kind of saying, you know, Miss Whitaker, I did expect your father. I did send him that telegram. And she says, yes. And she gets kind of like nervous as she's telling this. And this is the first time that you're really hearing her sound kind of nervous and stumbling over her speech and like being unable to really think of what to say. And she says, yes, my father got that telegram and he sent me instead of coming himself. I think it's because, you know, it's almost winter time and he didn't really want to be up here this far north. And I think he thought that it would be better if I came because I'm younger and healthier and I just would have a better time here in town. And he looks a little skeptical and he says, well, either way, I suppose I'm glad to have representation here this evening. And she says, yes, it's good to represent one's family in their interests. And she sounds kind of, again, like she's just trying to think of what to say that would please Mr. Barden. And Mr. Barden says, anyway, hopefully after tonight, things will go better. And she says, things will go better? And he says, yes, I think so. Things will go better for you. And she says, okay. Well, I'm glad to be part of the community and I hope I can be a good citizen of your good little town here. And he says, naturally. And then he kind of goes and sits down with his little posse on one of the pews in the front row. Okay. So the rest of the people sit around various pews and they actually have Dr. Whitaker sit in the front and they start talking about her. And the preacher kind of gives what appears to be some type of like little sermon welcoming her to the town, giving her a little bit of the history of the town, talking about Mr. Barden and how he had this wonderful vision for a gold mine town, right? That would make everyone rich and kind of bring everyone together and help all of their dreams come true. And it kind of sounds like he's stalling, right? Like they're kind of waiting for something. And you don't exactly know what they're waiting for, but it seems like Barden's kind of checked out. Like he's like looking at his shoes, basically, like kind of like scuffing the ground just a little bit, totally disinterested. The preacher's just kind of like looking at him over and over again, just kind of trying to get like a prompt to like do something, but he hasn't gotten the signal yet or whatever. So he just keeps like talking about the town. Mr. Frank is just kind of sitting there with his hands clasped on his knee, and Mr. Riggs is kind of picking his teeth, you know, just kind of like, again, waiting. But you also notice that Mr. Riggs is also kind of looking at the door, as if he's kind of in charge of making sure no one comes in who's not supposed to.
Okay.
And it definitely seems like none of these people are really worried about hiding what they're feeling or doing. They're just, just doing whatever it is without any fear of consequence or being seen or anything like that. Now, Bailey, I'm going to turn to you because you actually hear something, okay, down the street. And by this point, it is, like I said, quite dark. You hear something kind of coming down the street in the direction of from the mine.
Well, can I stay where I am and use perceptive to try to get a good look at them?
Sure, go ahead.
That's 3 dice. Oh. All right, I got a 6, 5, and a 3.
Excellent. Okay, now you notice that there is the silhouette of a very tall person coming toward.
Like unnaturally tall, or like
not unnaturally tall, but definitely probably like the largest person you've seen.
Interesting.
And the reason that you're able to see them quite easily, despite it being kind of dark outside, is that they're carrying a torch.
Well, do I recognize anyone that's this tall from the town?
You don't think you've ever seen anyone of this stature before?
I mean, I would remember.
Yeah, you
somebody this tall.
Yep. As this person kind of gets a little closer, you notice that they're wearing clothes that are actually quite similar to Katie's. They look like maybe they're some type of fur trapper or a hunter of some kind. Definitely a frontiers outdoorsman type. You can't really notice too much, but it does seem like this person has kind of a like sunburned face, and they look quite determined as they kind of walk down the street.
Well, I'm going to keep my eye on them.
Okay. And this person actually gets really close to where you're hiding. And then suddenly he just kind of stops right in front of the church and doesn't quite look in, but he does kind of put his ear to the door and listens for a few minutes. And then he kind of walks around to the side of the alley. And you're super well hidden, so you can kind of like scurry out of his way if you want, but
Sure.
He is going to come into the alley with you. And he doesn't see that you're there, but he looks in the window and he's kind of like counting the people on his fingers. And then you can tell that he sees someone that he knows. And then he instantly breaks the glass of the window and throws the torch inside of the church.
Whoa. What? I'm going to tackle him.
You're going to tackle him?
I mean, I don't know what else to do.
Okay. I mean, go ahead and roll to see if you're able to tackle him. He's really big, but I mean, you're surprising him, so we'll see.
Nope, I do not tackle him.
You basically like launch yourself at this guy, and he kind of like hears you and kind of moves out of the way last second.
I mean, I'm gonna yell. I'm gonna yell like, run, like loud.
Okay, and you definitely hear like a commotion inside of the church as, after the glass breaks. And Molly, you don't know what happened, but you definitely heard like the glass shatter, and suddenly there was a torch that got flown in. And you do recall that Jameson was kind of talking about burning the church down. So as far as you know, this is Jameson's plan, right?
I leave.
Yeah, I think
you run out the door.
Yes.
Are the doors unlocked for them to get out?
Okay. You do run to the door and it is unlocked, so you are able to get out.
So it wasn't Jameson. Jameson would have locked the door first.
Miss Whitaker actually screams because she's super shocked. Okay. And she also follows you out. She runs out of the church because things are starting to catch on fire. As the torch came in, some of the curtains along the walls kind of caught up into flames. The flames are starting to spread quite quickly because it's just kind of a wooden structure, just a wooden church. Okay. And the other people inside of the church behind you, they also are kind of scurrying toward the exit. You do hear Barden kind of barking orders to his men saying, like, find who did this, go outside, they're in the alley, right? And so he like sends all 3 of his men out in that direction. Bailey, do you do something? I mean, you tried.
Well, I failed to tackle this guy. What does he do? How does he react to this?
He kind of just like looks at you and just like moves out of the alleyway really quickly.
Well, I'm going to follow him and be like, stop. Like,
he ignores you, and as he like runs down Main Street, you notice that he's actually running after Molly and Dr. Whitaker. Now, Molly, where do you run?
Let's see. We're at the church. I will run to the saloon because I know that's where Jameson was going.
Okay, so you run down Main Street, and Dr. Whitaker is following you.
Mm-hmm.
Bailey, you're following
him.
This tall man who is following both of them, and you notice that he's gaining on the 2 women.
Wow.
And he immediately grabs Dr. Whitaker and then runs to kind of the side of Main Street and ducks into the road, the little street that leads between the town hall and the hotel. So it's the road that leads up into the mountains. So he grabs her, picks her up, and runs off that direction.
I'm going to turn and follow, and I'm going to yell for Molly, make sure she notices that this is happening. I'm sure she does, but I'm going that way.
Okay. All right. As you're kind of running down the street, it's really dark in this section of the town. You can kind of see a few of the lights from the hotel kind of casting light down onto the street, but it's really still kind of dark. So you only see him just as he's kind of like passing under those windows. But you do notice eventually, like you run out of light, but then you do hear what sounds to be like a horse. And it sounds like he's thrown Ms. Whitaker onto this horse and has gotten on himself, and he's starting to gallop away up the mountain path.
I mean, I'm going to go as far as I can and keep an eye on it, try to see where it goes.
Okay. You really haven't been up this road before. You know that it leads up into the mountains. You know that Katie has a hunting lodge somewhere up that way, but you don't know where. You've never actually been there. But you can't follow very far before the road really just like kind of starts turning into the forest.
Sure. Well, I mean, once they're out of sight, they're out of sight. There's really no point for me to run anymore, but I'm going to at least try to make a mental note of where I last saw them, which direction they were headed, all of that.
All right. And as they're kind of like disappearing off into the forest, the mountain forest, you can hear Dr. Whitaker kind of just like screaming.
Yeah, I imagine she wasn't going to be quiet through this whole thing.
Yep. Okay, well, we're going to end our story there for tonight.
Nice.
Awesome.
Jameson doesn't like that.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Well, we will definitely pick back up next week.
Awesome.
With episode 4.
Mm.
Great. Alan, did you want to conclude with another kind of pitch for that Kickstarter?
Yeah, if you made it through all 2 hours of this and your sanity is still intact, you can back the new Gallant Knight Games publishing partner Kickstarter from Biohazard Games on Kickstarter. It's Blue Planet Recontact. You can just go to Kickstarter and search it, or find it on our social media, and you'll find it there.
Nice.
Awesome.
And there are no terrible horror monsters in there. It'll be okay.
Just blue planets. That's
just
it.
Aliens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, let's go ahead and end our show there, and we'll do a little bit of an after show. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay!
That's so gosh darn cool.
Yes.
So that was a session.
It was. Yes. Ended in a kidnapping.
I'm just glad that guy didn't fly off in the sky. That's all. I can take
that
him.
you know of.
I can take him getting on a horse and running away. It was the reverse Mary Poppins of him going up in the air. That would have been too much.
He just needed a run and start or something.
Yeah.
You just heard horse hooves. You don't know that he didn't have hooves. They might have been his.
Yeah, where'd the horse
fair.
come from?
I don't know that he wasn't a centaur.
It's true.
Correct.
Yes.
Like there was no horse, and suddenly there was a horse. Like pop into the livery, grab a.
I mean, there's two options. Either he had a horse tied up in the alley waiting for him, or he is a horse.
Yeah, only two possible options. Yes.
That's it.
Yep. Yeah.
I like that Bailey's character is getting kind of neurotic about trying to explain away everything. Like in a good way.
He's not much of a supernatural believer.
Yeah. No, I love it.
He
It's very
believes
cool.
in real things like money and stuff.
Money and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's kind
I
of
mean,
making his
technically,
brain
like,
go.
you haven't really seen anything supernatural yet, so
Except
I mean, there's no reason.
Somebody falling out of the sky.
And
Yeah.
I bet you didn't see that
Bird
happen,
that
right?
communicates.
No, well, we saw something in the sky that was weird.
Yeah, but it also could
I don't know
have
if you saw that though.
a star or an owl.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If only Katie was still like conscious, because this might be one of her family members or something, because she comes from the area.
She'll be conscious in another day or two.
It could have been Claude or
Conscious
Val
in
or
3
Mal
days.
or Ham or Horatio or
Yeah, well,
all your cousins.
I named all my brothers.
So
Nice.
in Memory Alpha, I have a watchable type situation that has a little hologram that comes up that helps him with things, and his name is Horatio. He's a slug, little Horatio slug. Yeah,
I thought
so
you
he
meant
said
like a
Horatio.
Tamagotchi.
Yeah, no.
Aww.
Yeah, no, he's a little hologram that's on my wrists. It's the ghost in the machine, which is the trait from Tiny Frontiers that we use. So
Oh, nice.
yes.
That was an awesome session though, and I loved that that scene. Like, and I'm glad it went poorly for Katie. 'Cause I think that's why we like dice mechanics, because it introduces all sorts of tension and conflict where you don't necessarily, you know. And that was really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And I'm glad that I didn't.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm glad I didn't die by walking into that church to go to the party. But I was
I am
just like,
glad
well,
you didn't
we're
die.
investigators. This seems like where I should be going. And so
I know it was everyone was accompanying you to the party, and then all of a sudden I realized, I was like, oh man, everyone just went bye Molly.
I know.
Have
Yeah.
fun
And I
at
was
the
like, yeah, we'll
park.
go. And then they're like, bye.
I don't think
Yeah.
Molly would have done that. Like, you walk into the church and then Molly dies instantly.
Right.
All right, new
And guys.
character. As soon as you cross the threshold, your skin melts off. You're dead.
That would have been a heck of a plot.
Yes.
That would have been. a huge
It would
plot
have.
twist.
Yes. Yes.
Well, and there is much about your character, Jameson, and I think this is cool too, because I feel like Katie's known you for a while, but like she doesn't even know stuff that's coming out about your character. Like you said, you got married, and I'm like, Jameson has a wife.
I'm not sure Alan knew that about Jameson until it happened either.
No. Yeah, no. He's like, it's part of my tragic backstory that all of a sudden.
Yeah,
is
no, I
here.
love it.
Yes.
It's very cool.
Well, that's why I like games where you like this, like any kind of story-driven game, where you can leave those blanks because you can fill them in at just the right appropriate moment, and it just brings so much depth to the character.
For sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Kind of, like flashback reveals and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
Mhm.
who knew Jameson was married? I don't know. Like, it doesn't affect who his character, like what his character's doing, but it changes how his character, like, all of a sudden his grumpy dourness has maybe a new light to it, you know?
Or
Like,
not.
Or not. Maybe he was always grumpy and dour,
Yes.
and his wife was equally grumpy. I mean, it's possible.
Have any of y'all seen Streets of Fire, which is like a personal, oh my God, I love that movie. You don't even know. So for some reason, Alan, this game, I was like, oh man, McGraw and Jameson are totally McCoy and Cody. Like I was like getting those vibes, and I was like, oh man,
I can't dispute
cool.
that. That's fair.
Yeah. I was like, that's not too bad.
I've heard a lot about it, but I've never seen it.
You should watch. You should watch Streets of Fire.
Let me just 2 words: sledgehammer duel.
It's like cheesily bad though, right? Like, isn't that the whole?
No.
No, it's not bad. Yeah.
Okay.
It is. It's really
I
good
mean-
for what it's supposed to be, which is rock and roll fantasy, fairy tale,
Rock or fantasy.
kind of graphic novel-y.
Mm.
Even the colors and the filming and the.
I mean, I'll watch anything once.
I mean, I've nothing against bad movies. Madi can attest. I made her and her husband Scott watch Six String Samurai with me and Aaron one time. So
Nice.
I have no shame with bad movies.
Is that a samurai that also plays the guitar?
He's definitely not Buddy Holly, and he's definitely not traveling to Las Vegas to become the new king of rock and roll.
Well,
Nice.
wow, okay.
And the guy in the top hat chasing him is definitely not Slash. He definitely has a duck
Or
What?
not.
on the back of his guitar.
How old is this movie?
It's from the 90s.
Awesome. We do a movie night in my house every Tuesday, and it's supposed to be movies like that. So I need to write
Yeah.
all these down and make my roommates watch
Oh.
them.
When I was in college, I had a bunch of roommates. We'd watch like the cheesiest kung fu B movies we could
Yeah.
possibly find.
Nice.
I made them watch The Room last week, so to give you an idea of
Yeah,
the
that's a
types of
pretty-
things.
Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
We used to, I don't know, like people won't remember this, but like when I was in college, they were Walmart or Walmart, yes, had like the dollar movies, which were like really bad, like straight to DVD movies, sometimes with actors. And we made it a tradition on each of our roommates' birthdays, we'd buy them one, and then we would all watch it. And they were, I mean, these were like maybe
That's awesome.
some
Yeah.
of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
Some of those movies are the best bad movies, though. Those called classics.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now I don't even have time to watch all the good movies, let alone to watch the bad ones.
Truth. But
Yes.
thank you, though, Madi.
Yes.
That was a good session.
Yeah, it was.
Mhm.
It was really good. And I'm on the edge of my seat over here.
I know.
Mhm.
Every time we end, I'm like, oh, man, 7 days.
What's gonna happen?
Mhm.
Well, thanks for going along with all the shenanigans for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's exciting. It's fun.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. Well, we'll sign off. And we'll see everybody next week. Same terrible time, same terrible place, same terrible things happening to some of us. About the rest of us.
Yeah,
In the
we'll
same
find out what
awesome
happens.
game.
Perfect. Yes.
All right.
Mm.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
night.
Thank you.
Night.